Well, joining us now from Minnesota is Matthew Brodsky, a senior fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy. So, Matthew, give us a bit of background on Walz. Obviously, we heard a little bit about his perspective when it comes to Israel and the Jewish community. But as a resident of Minnesota, what can you tell us?
Well, he had a political career as a chameleon representing the 1st District. So that's 12 years in Congress, where he participated in votes that were definitely not in favor of Israel, from trying to basically remove Assad from Syria from isolation in 2009 to being against the use of force against Assad after using chemical weapons, to voting in favor of the nuclear deal with Iran in 2015. But he has been able, as governor, to oftentimes say the right thing, no matter what his voting record suggests. And the fact is, he became governor from 2018. He presided over a $17.5 billion state surplus, frittered that away, raised taxes, and then is probably in Minnesota most known for the fact that it was he who allowed the 3rd Precinct Minneapolis police station to burn, with Minneapolis, of course, being ground zero for the George Floyd riots. And relinquishing control and abandoning the police station really sent a okay or green light to a lot of the violence that we saw throughout the United States and indeed the world later on. But he did manage to win his reelection in 2022. So his record is often different than how he comes across in communications, and he presents as folksy and nice, and will provide some form of balance, I suppose, to Kamala Harris and how she comes across. But his record is still his record, to the extent mainstream media will report on it and people will make their own conclusions.
How can we expect Jewish voters to be swayed by his selection?
You know, they say that showing up is really counts for a lot. And he did show up after the October 7th happened in Israel. He showed up in the Jewish community at the synagogue, had a powerful message. That's something that resonated here. But he also remained silent as the University of Minnesota was taken over by anti-Semitic groups that were chanting and spray painting things. So he, in fact, actually gave a statement somewhat in support of it. So I think it depends. If you are a liberal American Jew or progressive and you've substituted social justice for the religion itself, then you can bend Walz to be considered as pro-Israel. But if you're saying, though, on the other side, that when the chips are down, he vanishes, or at least appears very malleable on the subject, and of course, if you conclude that giving Iran $150 billion or more in sanctions relief and legitimizing their nuclear program, if you think that is pro-Israel, then, you know, the right would certainly view that quite differently.
All right. Well, Matthew Brodsky, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us, giving us some insight. We're obviously going to have to wait and see how this plays out now that Kamala Harris has made her pick and how he performs in upcoming debates.